Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I didn't want to believe it at first. You hear about these things happening to other people, coworkers, neighbors, even close friends, but never to you. You convince yourself that your marriage is different, that those late nights at the office, the emergency work calls during dinner, the last-minute business trips, they're just part of life, just a rough patch. That's what I told myself about Sharon. For the past few months, work had become her whole world. It started small, a late night here, an early morning there. Then, it escalated. She'd come home looking exhausted, barely saying more than a few words before heading straight for the shower. Weekends, which used to be our time, were suddenly filled with extra work. "Work's been non-stop lately," she said. "I barely have time to breathe." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But it was getting harder. The little things started adding up. She stopped reaching for me in bed, stopped texting me throughout the day like she used to. We used to have inside jokes, little habits that made our relationship ours. But now, it felt like I was living with a roommate. Then came another business trip, 3 days away. I forced myself to ignore the nagging feeling in my gut, the whisper of doubt that had been growing louder every day. I wasn't going to be that husband, the paranoid, insecure kind. I told myself it was just work. But when she came back, something happened. I was in the kitchen making coffee when she walked past me toward the bedroom, rolling her suitcase behind her. "I'm exhausted," she sighed. "That trip was brutal." I watched her go, my stomach twisting. Something felt off. A few minutes later, as I passed by the open suitcase on the bed, something caught my eye. Lace, a set of black lingerie. Delicate, expensive-looking, something I had never seen before. It wasn't her usual style. Sharon preferred soft fabrics, simple comfort. She wasn't the type to wear something so seductive. For a moment I considered asking about it, but I stopped myself. Maybe she bought it during the trip. Maybe it was nothing. Still, unease curled in my gut. I told myself I was overthinking it, that it wasn't worth making a scene. So I ignored it, like a fool. 2 days later, Sharon borrowed my car. Her car had broken down again, something about the battery, she said. She needed to run a few errands and asked if she could take mine. "Of course," I said, handing her the keys. "Just don't forget to put gas in it." She gave me a quick smile and walked out the door. The next morning, when I was about to head out, I reached for my car keys in their usual spot. They weren't there. I checked the kitchen counter first. Nothing. The hallway table. Empty. My jacket pocket. Still nothing. I frowned. I always put my keys in one of those 3 places. Then, I remembered. Sharon had taken my car yesterday. Maybe she had forgotten to put the keys back. I walked into our bedroom. The sound of running water echoed from the bathroom, steam slipping through the slightly open door. Sharon was in the shower. Her purse sat on the nightstand, half open. I hesitated. I had never been the type to snoop, never felt the need to check her things. But these were just my keys, right? There was nothing wrong with checking. I reached into her purse, feeling around for the familiar shape of my key fob. My fingers brushed against something small. A box. A jewelry box. My breath hitched as I pulled it out and flipped it open. Inside, nestled in a velvet cushion, was a stunning diamond necklace. Delicate, elegant, and undeniably expensive. My stomach dropped. Where did this come from? I knew one thing for sure. I didn't buy it. And if Sharon had bought it herself, she would have paraded it around, showing it off the way she always did with new things. She loved attention. She loved compliments. But she hadn't said a word about this necklace. I stood there, the box still open in my hands, my mind racing. First, the lingerie. Now, a diamond necklace hidden away in her purse. Something was wrong. Seriously wrong. I wanted to believe there was a logical explanation. A gift from a friend? A work bonus? But I knew better. That night I barely spoke to her. She didn't seem to notice. She was on her phone, scrolling mindlessly, texting someone. She was so absorbed in whatever conversation she was having that she didn't even ask if I was okay, didn't sense the shift in my demeanor, the quiet tension in the air. When she finally fell asleep, I made a decision. I waited until her breathing was slow and even. Then, I carefully picked up her phone from the nightstand, slipped out of the bedroom, and sat in the living room. With a deep breath, I unlocked it. My hands were shaking. I didn't want to find anything, but at the same time I needed to know. I went through everything. Texts, normal, emails, boring work stuff, call log, no unknown numbers, no late-night calls, nothing. No evidence, no proof. But my gut told me I wasn't crazy. Something was wrong. I just couldn't prove it. So the next morning I made another decision. I hired a private investigator. The investigator, Joseph, was a no-nonsense guy, the type who didn't waste time with pleasantries or assumptions. He asked a few direct questions, took notes, and got to work. At first he found nothing. Sharon's routine was normal. She went to work, stayed late, then drove home. No strange detours, no secret meetings, no suspicious behavior. For a brief moment I felt stupid. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe the distance between us was just life. People change. Marriages go through phases. But then, there was the lingerie, the hidden necklace, and the way she had started pulling away from me, little by little. No, this wasn't in my head. So I told Joseph to keep watching. A few days later, Sharon had another business trip. She packed her bags with the usual precision, zipping up her suitcase while humming a tune. I sat on the bed, watching her carefully, searching for anything in her expression that would give her away. Nothing. She leaned in, pressing a quick, distracted kiss to my lips. "See you in 3 days, babe." And just like that, she was gone. The moment she pulled out of the driveway, Joseph followed. For the next 2 days, I was on edge. Every few minutes, I checked my phone, waiting for an update. Every time a notification popped up, my stomach clenched. Every time the screen stayed dark, my mind went into overdrive. By the second morning, I could barely function. My heart was racing, my body tense. I had been expecting the worst, but somehow when it came, it still hit me like a freight train. Joseph called early that morning. His voice was calm, measured, but his words destroyed me. "Danny, she's not alone on this trip." My breath stalled in my lungs. "She's at a hotel with another man." A wave of nausea rolled through me. I gripped the phone so tightly my hand went numb. "Who is he?" My voice was barely above a whisper. Joseph hesitated for a beat before answering. "His name is John. He's her coworker." I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. It made sense now. The extra hours, the constant work calls, the emotional distance. And then came the final blow. "He's married too." I pressed my fingers against my forehead, trying to steady myself. Sharon, my wife, lying to my face, pretending everything was fine while sneaking off to a hotel with a married man. "I have photos," Joseph said. "I'm sending them to you now." A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I tapped the screen and there it was. Sharon and John sitting at the hotel bar, laughing together like a happy couple. The next image showed their hands touching, her smiling up at him the way she used to smile at me. Another. They were stepping into the elevator, his arm wrapped around her waist, her body leaning into him. Then, outside their hotel room. And finally, the picture that shattered everything. Sharon and John, kissing. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I might be sick. That was it. That was all I needed. I didn't wait. I couldn't. That same afternoon, I walked into a divorce lawyer's office and started the paperwork. No hesitation, no second thoughts. I wanted her out of my life as fast as possible. I wasn't going to give her a chance to explain, to manipulate, to weasel her way back with excuses. She had made her choice. Now, she was going to live with it. The next evening, Sharon came home from her business trip, like nothing had happened. I was sitting on the couch when I heard the key turn in the lock. She walked in, rolling her suitcase behind her, her face tired but relaxed. She tossed her bag on the floor, stretched, and gave me a small smile. "Hey, babe, the trip was exhausting. How was your weekend?" I didn't answer. Instead, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and held up the screen. "Why don't you tell me, Sharon?" Her smile vanished. Her eyes flickered to the phone screen, to the pictures of her and John, laughing together at the bar, standing outside their hotel room, too close, too familiar, and then kissing. For a second, she just froze. Where did you get these? She whispered. I kept my voice calm, steady, cold. Does it matter? Her eyes darted up to mine and then she laughed. A short, nervous, breathy laugh. Danny, this isn't what it looks like. I let out a short, bitter laugh. It's exactly what it looks like. No, She stopped, shaking her head like she could erase what I had already seen. It wasn't like that. I mean, yes, things happened, but... But what? I snapped, stepping closer. But I wasn't supposed to find out? Her lips parted, but no words came out. And for the first time I saw it. The truth in her silence. She was never going to tell me. If I hadn't found out, if I hadn't hired the investigator, she would have kept doing this. Kept coming home, kissing me with the same mouth she used to kiss him. Sharing my bed, all while giving herself to another man in some cheap hotel room. I clenched my jaw, my entire body tense with something between rage and disgust. She tried again, her voice softer this time. Danny, I didn't mean... I shook my head. I don't care what you say, Sharon. Pack your things. You're leaving. You're seriously going to throw away 7 years of marriage over this? She snapped. I let out a humorless laugh. You threw it away the second you stepped into that hotel with him. Her eyes filled with tears. Danny, please, we can fix this. It wasn't serious. I love you. I took a deep breath and met her gaze. I'll send the rest of your stuff to your parents' house. You can explain yourself to them. Her face crumpled. She sobbed, loud, messy, desperate. But I didn't care. She grabbed her suitcase, still sobbing, and stumbled toward the door. She paused for a moment, waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. She walked out. And I wasn't finished yet. After Sharon left, I sat there for a long time. Not thinking, not moving, just breathing. And then, I got to work. She wasn't going to walk away from this without consequences. She wasn't going to pretend this never happened and move on like nothing was wrong. The first thing I did was scroll through my contacts, find Sharon's parents and send them the pictures. John and Sharon at the hotel bar, holding hands in the elevator, whispering in the hallway, kissing outside their room. No explanations, just one message. This is who your daughter really is. I'm done with her. Expect her things in a few days. Next, I sent them to John's wife. I kept the message short, simple, cold. I thought you should see these. Your husband has been cheating with my wife. It didn't take long for her to reply. Her response was as brutal as it was final. Thank you. I'm leaving him. That was it. No anger, no questions, just fact. I stared at my screen, gripping my phone so tightly my fingers ached. She deserved better than him. And I deserved better than Sharon. She had lost everything in a matter of hours. Her marriage? Gone. Her home? Not hers anymore. Her reputation? Destroyed. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. The first few nights alone in that house were strange. Not because I missed her, but because of how much lighter everything felt without her presence. No more cold, distant conversations. No more forced smiles. No more pretending. Months passed. The divorce was finalized. I protected my assets, made sure she didn't get a single thing from me. While Sharon's life fell apart, I rebuilt mine piece by piece. I sold the house too. I found a new apartment, a place that didn't hold memories of her, where every room wasn't filled with the ghosts of a marriage that had been rotting long before I found out the truth. I threw myself into work, the gym, anything that made me feel alive again. Then, a few weeks later, I heard the final piece of news that sealed it all. John dumped Sharon. After everything, after she destroyed 2 marriages, after she threw away 7 years with me, he didn't even want her. I almost laughed when I heard it. He had gotten what he wanted, a cheap affair, a fling, an escape. But he wasn't willing to keep her. She threw everything away, for nothing. She tried to reach out a few times, but I never answered. One night I ran into a mutual friend. He mentioned seeing Sharon at a bar, drinking alone. She looks miserable, man, he said, like she lost everything. I just nodded, finishing my drink. I didn't care about her anymore. I was free. I lived life on my terms, and for the first time in years, I felt like myself again. And that, more than revenge, more than justice, was the best feeling in the world. Thank you for watching.